late.
No, I know Sam is. She's arranged to meet her legal team here first thing, and they're waiting.
Are you worried about how she's going to get on today?
Well, professional concern for a colleague, that's all. Aren't you? Come on, Sam, you're late.
Morning.
You'd be late. Today of all days.
I'm aware I was late. This won't take long, okay? Trust me, I know what I'm doing.
Sam, exactly.
I have biggest apologies.
You've gone completely mad, have you, Sam? I know you like a challenge, I know you like a secret, but unless you've got a law degree that you're not telling me about, then you've just committed professional suicide.
Thanks for your support.
Oh, don't be so damn self-righteous. I'm about to embarrass myself in an open hearing for you today.
Embarrass yourself by telling the truth.
No, by admitting in public that you had to protect me from being lammed by a little oik like Keith Parr.
Well, I'm sorry about that. See you in court.
OK. Sam's fired her legal team, so she'll be representing herself at the hearing.
So if Sam's conducting her own defence, is she going to be cross-examining me about my GMC statement?
That's why I wanted to warn you.
It's not just you, you'll be questioning me as well. I've been questioned by Sam before. Not nice.
Well, look, the hearing will be starting shortly. I can't be more than 2 doctors down today. Dylan, will you go down there, please? Show Sam some support, and when it's time for Zoe's testimony, give us the heads up and then come back and switch over, OK?
OK.
Thank you.
Keith, I wanted to be here to support you, sir.
I told you I never want to see you again.
Thank you. Dr. Nichols, would you follow me, please?
Good luck, Sam.
We're here today to determine Dr. Samantha Nichols' fitness to practice. I shall be asking for testimonies from current and former colleagues. And I will ask the panel to consider, in light of their testimony, whether Dr. Nichols has a record of behaving inappropriately under pressure. We shall also consider whether she has breached good medical practice, which sets out the standards that doctors must follow at all times. I'd like to bring in the first witness, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Keith Parr. Before Mr. Parr testifies, I would like to show the panel CCTV footage from Holby City Hospital of the incident itself on January 8th. So, Mr. Parr, we can quite clearly see Dr. Nichols restrain you there. Her senior colleague, Dr. Zoe Hannah, seems quite horrified by what she's watching. And Dr. Nichols has hold of you for quite some time.
Yes.
With consequent injury.
To the neck, yes.
Mr. Parr suffered a hairline fracture of cervical vertebrae C4, as indicated on the original scans.
I would like to take Mr. Parr through the CCTV footage again, Mr. Chairman. As you can see here, Mr. Parr appears very aggressive, and Dr. Keogh is forced backwards. Dr. Hannah's horrified reaction is not, in fact, due to my actions, but it comes earlier when Mr. Parr goes to strike Dr. Keogh. And here you can see I'm talking very calmly to Mr. Parr.
You had me in a headlock.
I restrained you with the appropriate force to prevent you from injuring a colleague.
But that does not excuse what you did. It does not excuse what you did to me.
Mr. Parr, please understand, you are under no pressure here. This panel is simply a professional investigation into Dr. Nichols' fitness to practice. It is not here to judge you in any way.
Thank you.
Dr. Nichols.
No more questions, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Parr. Your testimony is concluded. You are free to leave, or you may sit in the public area and observe the rest of the proceedings as you see fit.
I would like to read to the panel a few comments from Dr. Nichols' colleagues and ask for her response to them.
I understand.
Scarlett Conway describes Dr. Nichols as strong, presumably meaning strong enough to break a man's neck.
I don't believe that was the intention of Staff Nurse Conway's statement. She meant... she meant strong personality.
Either way, I think that we'll all agree that Dr. Nichols is clearly regarded as a forceful individual within her ED. Her clinical lead, Dr. Nicola Jordan. Dr. Nichols' greatest strengths: her fearlessness in the face of physical threat or danger, as evidenced by her arguably reckless actions during the major incident on Silverton Estate, may also turn out to be her greatest weakness. Would you like to comment on that, Dr. Nichols?
I think the key phrase here is arguably reckless. I didn't endanger anyone else but myself.
So you're impulsive. You have a tendency to extreme physical action.
But I did what I had to do to save lives.
No more questions, Mr. Chairman.
I suggest a 15-minute break before the next testimony. That's okay with both parties?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Then I'd like to call Corporal Ian Dean.
Hey, can I get some help in here, please?
What? Dylan, what?
Don't panic, Sam. I didn't touch him. I found him collapsed in the loo. I think he's obviously got some renal problem. He's obviously in some pain.
I'm going to come with you, Keith. I'll be with you. I'll come to the hospital with you. Your mask on, Mr. Parr.
Get her away from me.
Hi, yes, this is Dr. Sam Nichols. Is it possible to speak to sorry, yes, speak to Mr. Jordan.
Corporal, can you tell us how you know Dr. Nichols?
We worked on a MERT team together in Camp Bastion, Medical Emergency Response Team. We deploy in Chinook helicopters with a 12-member team, 8 military, 4 medical.
Can you describe a typical MERT operation?
Well, for security reasons, we only touch down on the ground for 10 minutes at a time. My men secure the landing zone while the medics treat the casualties.
Am I right in saying that all members of your unit, including medical personnel, are armed?
You are?
What kind of weapon was Dr. Nichols armed with?
Well, typically an SA-80, standard issue British Army combat rifle, which would remain in the helicopter, and a Browning 9mm semi-automatic in a thigh holster.
Now, can you tell us the events of July 26th, 2011?
We were deployed to an incident in a neighbourhood cafe a few kilometres from base. It had been targeted by a suicide bomber.
What happened next?
Well, Dr. Nichols followed standard procedure, which is to triage the wounded and treat them in order of seriousness, regardless of whether they're our forces, enemy combatants or civilians.
I understand that Dr. Nichols prioritised an Afghani local.
Yeah.
And what happened next?
Look, these kind of attacks often come in 2 waves. It's the initial bombing, then once we've arrived on the scene, a secondary attack. Dr. Nichols was treating a patient on the ground when he made a suspicious move. Now, it appeared he was going to trigger another device. Dr. Nichols followed procedure and her training.
Go on.
She pulled a sidearm and shot the suspect.
She shot her patient.
Correct.
Fatally?
Yes.
According to Army reports, Dr. Nichols discharged 3 bullets from her weapon.
If you say so.
Are 3 bullets at point-blank range normal to completely neutralize a target?
It's restrained. Dr. Nichols succeeded in removing the threat.
By killing a man? No more questions, Mr. Chairman.
In my experience, Corporal, medical personnel, when treating enemy combatants, can be fired upon.
Yes, Dr. Nichols. It's a dangerous job.
And can you perhaps explain to the panel some of the other differences between working on a MERT team and in an ED back home?
Well, you have the golden hour in which to save a patient. We have the platinum 10 minutes. Decisions have to be made fast and in dangerous situations.
Thank you, Corporal. No more questions.
Thank you, Corporal Dean. You're free to leave.
Can I say one more thing?
Go ahead.
There were 12 people in the helicopter that day. Both the pilots and one of the nurses are still working at Camp Bastion. 2 of my infantry soldiers and both of my gunners have been invalided out with life-changing injuries. Both paramedics and a 3rd soldier are dead. Dr. Nichols and I are here. And the 7 Afghan civilians that Dr. Nichols worked on in the back of the helicopter that day are all still alive.
So, you and Dr. Nichols are husband and wife?
Separated.
No one served divorce papers yet?
No.
And you work together at the same hospital. It must be quite an amicable relationship.
Not really, no. We argue just about all day, every day.
Like an old married couple.
Like an estranged married couple.
Is Dr. Nichols in the habit of intervening when you have an argument with someone else?
She wouldn't have a minute to herself if she did.
Presumably, from experience, you know exactly how vigorously your wife...
Estranged wife.
...can take action when called upon to do so. Were you surprised by how she handled Mr. Parr?
Dr. Nichols does not suffer fools gladly, so no.
So I see. She's quick-tempered.
That's not what I said.
How do you think her experience in Afghanistan affected her?
She's a strong, confident, resourceful woman. I don't think it affected her at all.
Not at all? Not even when she shot and killed a man?
I've known you for some time now, Dr. Keogh. And in my experience, I wouldn't say you're a violent man. You must have been terrified when Mr. Parr attacked you.
I was terrified.
And if I hadn't intervened, who knows what could have happened?
I'm only glad you did. God only knows what might have happened.
Thank you, Dr. Keogh.
I mean, who knows? I might not have even been here today if you hadn't have stepped in. Very interesting and informative exercise it's been, too.
Great. No more questions.
It's not every day you find out that your wife has killed a man and forgotten to tell you about it.
Dylan.
Which only goes to prove that Dr. Nichols' treatment of Mr. Parr was in no way motivated by her relationship with me.
No more questions, Mr. Chairman.
No evidence.
Some medical information that's only come to light today. I believe it's highly relevant to the case. A few hours ago, my colleague, Mr. Jordan, performed a number of medical tests on Mr. Parr. He may well have saved his life in doing so. The results reveal that Mr. Parr has cancer. Because it's been developing in his body for quite some time, it has spread. And the results show that, in simple terms, it's weakened his bone structure. He's susceptible to pathological fractures that otherwise wouldn't occur. And because his bones are fragile, it would take less force than normal to break his bones. We know there are no absolutes. There's no absolutely perfect diagnosis. There's no absolutely perfect doctor. If you were to strike off all the doctors on the medical register that's ever made a questionable decision or an error of judgment, well, there'd be no medical professionals left.
Thank you, Dr. Hannah. I suggest a 15-minute break before closing statements.
Ian?
I've got to be at Northolt by 18:30 hours.
Straight back to Afghanistan.
Yes, a living.
Look, about what you said in there.
It's fine.
No, actually, it's about what you didn't say.
Like I said, it's fine. The Army don't want such matters discussed in open court now, do they?
No.
I'm sorry I can't stay to hear the decision, but I'm sure you're going to be all right.
Thank you.
Nearly over, Sam.
Yeah.
I think now that we know about Keith's illness, that should help you.
Shouldn't have laid a finger on him. That's what this is really about. His illness may account for nothing. Dylan, about that man I killed in Afghanistan. I thought he was reaching for a bomb trigger, and he had this device with a button on it.
It was war, Sam. You, far more than I, know that changes things. Come here.
There is just one more thing I'd like to say to the panel before you retire to make your decision. It's a name. Saleh Aranga. Saleh Aranga was 28 years old. He was there that day in the cafe with his young son. Saleh was not the most healthy of young men. He suffered severely with asthma. The hospital at Camp Bastion had given him an inhaler. Saleh Aranga was the young man I shot 3 times. He was not trying to trigger an explosive device. He was trying to show me the inhaler in his hand because he couldn't breathe properly. And in a room full of dust and pain, I made a mistake. And I killed an innocent man. The army reprimanded me, and they didn't make a note of it on my record. They said at times of war, things like this happen. And perhaps they do. I killed Soleil, Aranga, and I will live with that forever.
The panel shall now retire to consider its decision.
Okay, they're back. Fingers crossed, eh?
Cleared.
Right, let's let the booze up. I want to hear these war stories.
Good to hear.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Well done, you.
Why didn't you tell me you killed a man?
We're doctors. We see people dying every day.
On the whole, not ones we've shot ourselves.
Would you have listened if I had?
Of course.
No, I mean actually listen, not just made some dry remark, patted me on the back and got the hell out of there as quick as you could.
When do I ever do that? Okay, I do that, but there's only so many times I can listen to your extreme sports experiences. Anyway, if you wanted to talk so much, why don't you tell me about your affair?
I told you in just about every other way conceivable. Oh, does everyone know about Afghanistan?
What if they don't know well after the first drink? What?
It's quite interesting today, wasn't it? Our moment in court. Neither of us could storm out and slam a door. Shame we never toughed it out more in the past.
Yes, it is.
Thanks, Ella. I know you have a unique way of going about it.
Zoe, I'm getting another round in. Do you want one?
G&T, please.
Do you want to come for one?
No,